funny.
Hello and welcome to Michael and Ivanka's Grand Podcast, weekly podcast where we figure out what we think about everything in the world. Remember how long we didn't know how to introduce it, and now that just seems to flow so naturally. My name's Michael Forrest.
And I'm Ivanka Majic.
And this week we're gonna talk about winning the lottery.
Yes. That Michael's won the lottery.
Now that we've both somehow magically won that. No, neither of us has won the lottery. Or even plays the lottery, but there is that. It's a thought experiment that people do all the time. Like, when I win the lottery, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. If I win the lottery, and it's not one that I play, and I think I should probably. It's like praying or something. It's like something you should probably do a bit more. When I win the lottery, because I dislike the idea that you're sort of like deferring responsibility for your life by going, well, when I win the lottery, I'll do this. But on the other hand, it's, the advantage of picturing what you'd do if money was no object is that you sometimes realise there's things you can already do.
Ooh,
which
sounds awfully positive.
Which I certainly have done. No, it's true. Like and just so many things come back to money. Like, however you want to, whatever. Just everything keeps just. Money is this thing that seems to be a limiting factor on everything all the time, and I'm bored of it. And I just want to live in a magical dreamland world where money is no object for a couple of hours. Half an hour, 45 minutes. Well.
Maybe we could take it with us through the rest of the day.
Exactly.
There you go.
Have you ever thought about winning the lottery, or?
I have. I'm sure I have. I have played it in the past. I have. Probably not for about 20 years, in truth. But yes, I have played it. I have thought about it. And then it always comes down to that. What is the life I want?
Yeah.
That money is now stopping me from having. What are the bits? Yeah.
What's the life I want? Who do I want to be?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Let's swell up this music and go in. Okay. How's it going, Ivanka?
It's going very well, I'd say. My mother is here, which is lovely. I think I slightly lack the words to describe how nice it is to just have her there, being able to give her a little cuddle. Because she's been on her own, literally living in a flat on her own for a very long time. And even though we've all done our best to ring her a lot, and my brother and sister who are in Brighton still, have been very good, responsible children and delivered her food and, done garden socialising and allotment socialising and whenever that's been possible. But still, to live on your own in a flat for a very long time is quite hard on a person. Yeah. And so it's very nice. Been very nice to have her around. And so that is very good. I've also met the person who's going to be editing my book.
Ooh.
That's exciting. So, yeah. We use a research book. So that's exciting. And other things have happened that I cannot recall. So I was gonna, I'll keep it light-hearted and positive. It's positive. Things are positive.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you, Michael?
I'm okay. We went down to Rome. We are currently living in Milan for a bit, so we were able to get on a train down to Rome sort of a couple of days after Rome's curfew of 6:00, where everything shuts down. Everything had to close at 6 until 2 days before we got there. So nice. We got to see it sort of opening up again, but also sort of some relatively empty kind of landmarks and things. We went through the Vatican Museum, and instead of getting jostled through as I'm always hearing happens, we just spent as long as we wanted until we basically were in there until we just couldn't take any more art, really. It was okay.
It's a weird feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's And then it was like, oh my god, there's so much more art left. I thought we'd sort of seen the main event, and it was like, okay, cool. And even getting to that took a long time. And then it was like, oh my goodness, there's so much more
I,
art.
I remember being in St. Petersburg in many years ago, and we had a day in the Hermitage or the Hermitage, or however you want to pronounce it. And I just remember walking around, and we only had a day,
Yeah.
so we had a guide, and she just took us to all the big art, the art, the must-see art, and I just thought I could do 2 weeks probably in there, and then maybe just have absorbed it at some sort of rate of absorption that was possible to digest. So yes, it is funny how like your brain just becomes full of art.
Yes,
It's
I
weird.
can't take any more
I
of
just
this.
can't take anymore.
Divinity. I
Yeah.
just want to watch something normal, like a packet of crisps. This is too much for me. This is too abstract. Yeah, so that was good. We had some nice food. We had some the hotel that, well, this sort of like B&B type hotel-y place. Like, we came on the third day and they'd left us a bottle of champagne with a message to Sharon and her husband. Oh, this is for you and your husband's birthday. And it was like, okay. So we sort of like, but then we had this problem. Well, no, I think it was Prosecco, but we had this thing of, well, don't really want to drink it, but also don't want to carry like an extra 2 kilos of weight with me back to Milan because we're already pretty maxed out. So we sort of like just decided to like have a glass each and then sort of like throw the rest out. Just to not hurt anyone's feelings and to sort of like not have to carry it. But yeah, so I drank a little bit of Prosecco.
How was that?
Nothing went crazy. It wasn't enough to really be anything.
I do often think about your not alcoholing, especially since I found out that Lisa doesn't alcohol either, and there's a few other people I know, and I'm like,
It's a good life.
I just don't know.
And to
So
be
much
honest,
of my go on. To
so
be honest,
I always thought like in like events and things or weddings, I'd be like, well, you know, if it's a symbolic alcohol, then I'll do it because you know it's not something you do every day. But every time there's been something like that, there's always been an alcohol-free option. So this is one of the only times that I've ever really had to invoke that rule, like special occasion rule. But yeah, it certainly hasn't got me thinking, oh, maybe I could have a drink today. I'm just so uninterested.
see, because I was talking about it literally with my mum a couple of days ago. Because here, we're making loquat liqueur currently.
Oh God.
And everyone makes various liqueurs over this, whatever. So you get walnut liqueur, loquat liqueur, cherry liqueur. Everyone's got various herb liqueur. Like it's just like, and when you go around someone's house, even if it's 11 o'clock in the morning, and they'll do that. Oh, you must try my latest. And it's not,
Okay.
it's not offered so much as an alcoholic beverage. So
Yeah.
it's something that tastes nice. Like, here's this lovely cherry liqueur thing that I made by myself, and you must try. And it's like,
Incidentally alcoholic.
yeah, and it's kind of a weird. There's a lot more here. There's a lot more of that incidental drinking that isn't designed for drunkenness, or it's more for, like, oh, you must taste my wine that I've made, or the.
Yeah. But in Italy as well, because Sharon's, there's some friend of the family that makes this limoncello, so that's sort of in the fridge, and Sharon, like every couple of nights, will have a little glass of limoncello, and I'll be like, because when I taste it, I'm like, it's like hard liquor, but so I'm just not bothered. But yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, limoncello is another example of a liqueur that might be available to you if you're in a Croatian house.
Right, yeah. In the morning, first thing in the morning.
Yeah, for breakfast. Walnut liqueur, though, is often offered as a way of settling your stomach in the morning.
Of course it is. It's just you got to be suspicious of things that cure both every ailment. But
it's not alcohol. It's medicine.
It's not alcohol. It's medicine. Yes, exactly. In other news, it's WWDC this week, so I'm having my annual brainwashing by Apple. That's been it's been good because I've got this Mac Mini, so I've been able to install betas, but it seems a lot better behaved than it was a couple of years ago when I messed up my laptop installing it. Yeah, it's been so I've just been in sort of like learning mode this week, trying to figure everything out. figuring out if I want to build anything or if I want to just never do anything for Apple again. I don't know. So everything I do with Apple seems to involve me buying yet more Apple products for some reason. So yeah, that's that. I'm going to show a little clip of Rome. So, winning the lottery. In the book, in the talk, the Daniel Gilbert talk that sort of inspired my happiness app originally back in the late 2000s. One of his first things was, when you ask people what would make you happier, being involved in a car accident where you lost the use of your legs, or winning the lottery, and people say winning the lottery. But then if you measure people a year later who either won the lottery or were in a car accident, you see a lot more positivity from the people that were in the car accident. And that's an interesting thing.
Wow.
Although there was some addendum to that, so I think I may be spreading some slightly wonky version of that. But that, I mean, you can sort of see
That's
it.
how
right?
you've remembered it.
That's how I've remembered it, and that's all that matters. But the idea of but part of that is like an experiment around what really is happiness, and like you have all these sort of emergency. If something bad happens, you have all these things that can kick in to say things are okay. But you also do see people winning the lottery and then being ruined before too long because they don't understand, money, or because all these other side effects have happened as a result of doing it, or that it's already gone, or all these things. So when I think about winning the lottery, I always kind of place it in that kind of. I always have that mindset about it, which is, okay, well, there'd be all this tax, there'd be all these people wanting money off me all of a sudden. I'd have to decide what to do. It wouldn't be an ongoing income unless it was a lot. I guess how much you need to have a decent salary from interest on something, I'm not sure. Probably £1 million is that, but then if you want to buy somewhere to live, then it's gone before you've blinked. So it's sort of it's a weird it's a whole weird thing, and also so that's how I look at it. So I don't really have a rose-tinted view of it, is all I'm saying. Really.
I think I have a slightly rose-tinted view. Well, first of all, I think that at the moment I don't have to overthink buying quite a few things that I like or want or need. Where I have to stop and go, yeah, but you don't really need one of those, is when it's like I have these fantasies about owning an olive grove and turning it into an organic farm, with producing a renewable what do you call it? I've lost my word, like permaculture, amazing habitat, showing that all the good new ways, regenerative culture ways of farming all work and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You need a lot of money to do that, to have the thing in the first place, to do the experiment on.
Sure. But
unless, of course, you inherit it.
Having that as what you're thinking about does betray a certain baseline affluence, doesn't it? It's not like you're going, if I just had somewhere that the landlord wasn't always banging on my door. It's a very different experience.
Exactly. So there's things like that. There's things like I still have to do jobs that I don't necessarily enjoy, or I don't enjoy every aspect of it, or I get paid a lot of money, but I have to give a lot for that. It's like I had a conversation a number of years ago with somebody about day rates and stuff, and it's like, you can get that sort of day rate if you go and work in, go and do a contract at HSBC. But what are they going to want in exchange for that kind of money? It's like, it's more life than I'm willing to give. Yeah. So it's like that. If we all, you find a balance of things that are that kind of, but we are totally, we totally have a baseline. Both you and I have a sort of baseline of earning potential or existing earnings that mean that we have a way of getting stuff.
Neither of us is sort of capped in what we could. If money was the only thing we were interested in, both of us could just focus on that and make bank. But because we're old enough and wise enough to know that it's not the be all and end all of things. And you just, yeah, it sort of takes as much as it gives after a certain point. This money earning situation. Yeah.
I might like to have things like staff.
Well, do you know what? I'm just sitting here, and there's a lady in a uniform in the flat I'm in, vacuuming outside the door. They have a sort of house person that comes 3 times a week and cleans and does things, and it's like it's strange and novel to me, but it's just a thing when you've got to, seems fine. Seems sort of like I don't want to say too much about it, but like I'm just like, oh, it's just the help. The help is outside cleaning.
Well, I would like somebody. Yeah, I think it'd be nice to have somebody that worries about how clean the house is. I mean, obviously Nick does a fantastic job of that at the moment because that's his job at the moment. But then we could spend more time doing other things when we're free. Yeah. Maybe we both enjoy cooking, but we all have days where you're like, not again. Yeah. What are we going to make today again? Going to do the shopping. I don't know, stuff like that. Yeah. But then, it's nice to be able to pay people to do jobs, I think.
Yeah.
That'd be good. I could do that if I won the lottery.
For a bit.
For a
That's
bit.
The thing, like, it's like winning the lottery is like, how much is it going to be, really? Like, because actually, like, in terms of the property market, £1 million is nothing in London.
In London.
In London. Well, I want to be in London or thereabouts, or even here, like Milan as well. With its, I forgot to mention Milan is it's ramping up to full sort of airless heat. It's going to be like 40 degrees in a couple of weeks, I think. It's like 30 now. We're having annual mosquito attacks, nightly mosquito attacks. It's all fun. But anyway, I one thing I always thought about the lottery was the odds are so low of actually winning the lottery that they're sort of not that different to finding a winning lottery ticket on the street, just on the floor. Oh, a winning lottery ticket is not that. That's how I think about the odds. It's like not that dissimilar. Although then I did see something a few years after developing that way of thinking that said, like, if you do find it, maybe it's not valid or something like that. But I mean, who's going to know?
What? But it's kind of stolen.
Yeah, I guess, is it stolen?
I don't know.
If someone just dropped it?
Well, finders keepers.
Finders keepers, then.
If you're going to be the beach cleanup person and you find a lost lottery ticket, well, that could be my new incentive. I'm cleaning up this beach because one day I might find. I don't know. I don't know if that's.
So I think what, like, if I won the lottery always betrays is like, what's the next? Where are you now and where do you wish you were? But considering that 2 years ago I said, if I could just have 10 times more money coming in from my apps, I'd be cool. I wouldn't have to work for anyone else, and that would be awesome. And I've actually been living that dream for like over a year now. And it's great in many ways, but you cannot fail to be sort of like looking at that next tier the whole time. So if I won the lottery, it would be really about like paying other people or purchasing property, like moving our base to somewhere that we actually want to be rather than Maida Hill, whatever the hell that is. Like just sort of having something we can build on. But that's just an entirely personal thing, isn't it? It's like, if I won the lottery, then this. But it's certainly not like, and I sort of, I don't know how much I'd have to win to be able to like I'd like to live in London Bridge so that I could easily see my sister in Peckham or wherever, and like be able to sort of like be in a sort of place that people are coming through, which I really like, because then people come through and say hi. Although the area is probably not that nice to live, just because the only people that can possibly afford to live there
of questionable
priorities.
Priorities is better. That's more forgiving.
Exactly. So I just don't. And then, but like I do like, being in Milan is it's just a nice reminder that a city can be a city where people live in the middle of the city. So it'd be nice to, because that's the other thing. It's like you get the one flat, but then you want like a holiday home or a club.
Well,
There's the other bits and pieces that you tend to.
If you're going to live in a city centre, a big city like London or
Yeah.
Milan, you do need somewhere to retire to, or escape to for the weekend. Withdraw to the country during the hot seasons.
That's this. Like every weekend, everyone leaves the city and goes to wherever, and then comes back for work. But again,
Yeah. I think about it a little bit, right, on going back to my olive grove.
yeah,
There's a lot of people around me now who are not cash rich, but own fantastically large farms,
yeah,
olive groves or land that leads like just amazing things. Or even some of the houses, like there's and you're like, if you haven't inherited that, if it isn't already in your family, the amount of money you need for that step up,
yeah.
like it is that step up that you would get, the potentially you could get, that then would create, like you were saying, a new base or a new foundation. So it moves your foundation up a level.
A new set of
doesn't it?
problems. Looking at it.
Well, it probably is. I mean, it almost certainly is. But it's like, it's a thing.
Are
It's
they
like
better?
costs money.
Worse? Who
I don't
knows?
know. But somebody was talking to me about the cost of harvesting olive. Like
Right.
it's a head. You've got to maintain it. It's not like just just doesn't. It's not buying it and done.
Yeah.
You've got to afford the maintenance on your fancy pad in London and your holiday
Staff,
home
your
in
holiday, all that kind of thing.
Suffolk. Or wherever it is that you want to withdraw to at the
example.
weekends.
Let me press F6 and put a clip in, and then yeah. So I think the problem with this lottery thought experiment is I've turned it into I've reduced it in scope enough that it doesn't even feel like winning the lottery anymore. So maybe the real thought experiment is, what if money was no object? That's kind of the place you want to sort of have a think around. And I think definitely you come up with this, you come up against this, I am just one person. So I can own a yacht with a service yacht from a helicopter and an island and a home in New York, a home in Paris, a home in London, a home in Hong Kong. Like, I can do that, but I can only be in one of those places at a time, and each one comes with now this sort of administrative overhead in my brain. It's like, oh no, the London house is flooded, and now that's my day. And it's like, and I'm only there 2 weeks a year, and it sort of turns into this whole. I'm really good at finding the negative in these fantasies, aren't I? You're just one person, so you've still got to choose where to focus your attention. So if it is now I'm going to pay a horde of staff to execute my every whim, I've got to, okay, well that means that now I'm a full-time manager of my whims and my staff and try and make sure that they do a good job, and then that's where most of my time's going to go into, and I'm going to be able to save some time on the peripherins is not a real word, but I just like it. it's the mighty boosh. But I'm gonna, you're gonna shave time. Your money's gonna help you buy the ability to not wait at an airport for 3 hours every couple of weeks. It's gonna buy you the ability to just be in a cab or XYZ, whatever. But at the same time, there's only so many hours in the day, and you still sort of come up against that problem. And I think I would still. The problem is, I think I would have the same problem I have now, which is I'm not beholden to anyone. I have enough freedom to make choices about what I'm going to do. I might not be able to pay anyone, but I could certainly devote time to inspiring more collaborators and sort of getting them to work with me. Like, that's something I'm perfectly capable of doing now with no influx of money, but it sort of requires a mindset shift. Like, because the worst thing the thing I would probably do if I wasn't careful was I'd just buy one of each Mac and then really get to programming my way out of this problem. And this is not the way forward, Michael. And you know this, so you've got to do something you're scared to do, and that is actually not dependent on money at all. Like, so yeah.
Well, I think that going to the time thing. Sorry, excuse me. The right now, when we talked about staff, the first thing I thought about was a gardener.
Right.
I thought, because I love gardening, but I don't have time to do it. I could do more gardening. There's always more you can do, and I think I sort of would like to amplify myself in some way. So I don't really want staff to tell what to do, or like, you do all the things I don't want to do. It's more like the things that I really want to do, that I want to do more of, I need somebody to do them with, so that we can get more done. It's like clean, I don't know, which is, like you say, it's just about organising people, and you could probably do some swaps or something. I don't know. I don't know about your own garden. Yeah.
But I think like each relationship you create takes a lot of nurturing as well. Like each person you add has this. You can't just add and then you end up. Okay, I need a house manager who deals with the gardener and the the cleaner.
But if they're not like if money's no object, because what you said about managing them to see if they're doing a good job or whatever. I mean, does it matter? If your money's no object and somebody turns up and you're paying them for a full day's work, but they're only doing an hour, fuck it, get two of them. Get someone else. What's the...
I mean, we have both seen this in action. Like, let's just remind people, if they're not familiar, we have both worked for a billionaire who was doing the windfall thing where money was sort of no object really, and employing the best and brightest minds, and then. But I don't know, like, it wasn't working out very well.
I think that's for a whole different. That's what I mean about the controlling and mind.
I mean, he kind of won the lottery, so it's sort of that's. I don't know.
But like, I think if let's say I employed 3 people to help in the garden, and one was really good at pruning trees, but trees only need to be pruned once a year.
Yeah.
But they can still hang around the rest of the year and like sit in the garden, chat to the other gardeners, keep them happy, have fun. I mean, if money's no object, let's share it out.
Well,
sorry, I've got in the back of my head something. My daughter is just starting to understand money, or not even she doesn't understand it yet. But like, we've started giving her a tiny bit of pocket money, and going, this is 1 scoop of ice cream, this is 2 scoops of ice cream, and like, well, and well, why does everyone want money all the time?
I want ice cream.
Why is it with money? Yeah. Why? I mean, it's like quite this is just not very exciting, is it? And she thinks when you say, if someone gives her money, I want to pay, and you give her the money to pay, she wants to change then because she paid.
Right.
Even though it wasn't her money. It's like, because, you give money and then you get money back, and usually there's more money when you get it back than there was.
That's the basics of capitalism, though, isn't it? Like, I'm just going to do this for you and just keep the change. That's like the whole thing that builds the wealth of these Amazon. But I do think you hit on something which I was going to touch on. Like, whenever Sharon and I have this conversation, the first thing she says, well, I'd give my parents loads of money so they could sort the house out, and I'd give you enough money to be able to do everything you want to do. And then I'd think, and I'm like, you have a very different outlook on things, don't you? I think, the trouble is, when I think about helping my family, it's like, it's a row of people. It's like a line of people, but then, like, if it was enough money and money was no object, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing to do? Just go, because, and that's the sort of universal basic income thing as well. Like, you can create as many schemes and systems and rewards and benefits and all these things where you got to, if you do this, then a social servant will decide what job interview to blah, blah, blah. But actually, like, money is that if you just give people money, let them figure out what to do with it. And if you just, money is a really easy thing to just go, look, here's some money. knock
Yeah.
yourself out. Like most
Can you
people
come
have
and prune my trees once a year, please?
and like a windfall is one thing, but like the UBI experiment that I need to cite, and I don't know where to cite it from. I think I've downloaded the book and I've got the citation, so I'll try and put that in. But like the one where they like my impression was like if you just give people a regular income of like $1,000 a month or 2,000, then it just helps you like organize your life, and in a way that even as a contractor you kind of have that constant like, how much money do I actually have, because I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this for, I don't know how long I'm going to be between contracts, all that kind of thing. You ramp up the risk in order to sort of like, you get more money because of the risk, but actually like people can really get a chance to sort their lives out if they just have a regular known amount of income, because it's like, okay, well I can afford that rent even, and I know what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to be sort of just slipping into debt. So you sort of want to give people a trust fund, I suppose is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Pocket
Give
money.
them, but yeah, but then the whole, there is enough wealth in the world to do that.
Yeah. Well.
And so, but anyway,
sure.
if I got a load, I'd be. I think that's what I do. I just give a bunch of people I know enough money to do. In exchange for it, they could come and do something for me, but largely it would be up to them. So, but they'd be like I think having like garden people. Have I mentioned garden
You mentioned
enough?
you've got a garden.
Have I mentioned my garden? And then maybe house people.
Yeah.
How do we like make the house nicer? What do we need? You know, what's missing? And then maybe like making stuff people. Have a gang of making stuff people.
Yeah.
Go, right, let's make some stuff that's really good. And so that just we don't have to like fret overly about. And then we could just like, because the thing is, I think my big, if you think about them, it's not really money that restricts me as much as there's loads of things I wish I could do more of. I may have already said this, but I think I'm sorry if I have, but it's like, I just think of it in terms of like, I'd like to do more in the garden. I'd like to make more things like sewing, knitting, crocheting. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I love to do more of that. I would really like to launch some amazing mega thing that helps people understand that there's a bunch of stuff we buy that we don't need.
Yeah.
And that would make a significant difference to the world's survival. You know, and that could be done via the means, my professional skills, and the bunch of people like you, like Marcus, like these, loads of people that I know who together we could do something amazing if we didn't have to all just go and earn a living.
Well, and this is the thing as well, like, so I talk about how much freedom I've got and I can do whatever I want, but still everything I do, that even when I try and do something I want to do, like, I'm going to make music on stream, like, 2 times. Like, I'm not just going to make some music and it takes as long as it takes. I'm going to try and, like, do it on stream so that at least people can see what I'm doing and, like, maybe I build a following that way, but whatever. But because like everything I do is, because I don't know what the end date of any of this is, when the money's going to stop coming in, like when things are going to run out. It's like I'm always like, it's really hard to sort of separate the it's this freedom that's slightly fraught with, I don't know how long it's going to last. But if it was like a lottery win and I did actually know like I can live for the rest of my life and 10 more lifetimes on this money wherever I want, how much would my behavior change? Like, do I care about building an app that does this? Actually, if only I could like free up my brain right now to go, do I actually care about making this? Am I only doing it because I feel like I need to have something that makes money? And to be honest, like, I think people can they can smell it when you're doing something for the money. They can sort of smell it, and like really my goal right now, like I've had a little break, like I had a week off, and like I've had a little break, is to just figure out like who I want to be, what I actually care about. And I'm feeling very lost like in that way at the moment, and maybe this thought experiment can help just sort of reveal like, yeah, like I need to just look at everything I'm doing. Am I doing that for money? Yes. Okay, don't do it then. Am I doing this because I love it? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's turn that into a thing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I think we've discussed this before. It's like, how do people become amazing artists, or dedicate their time to painting paintings? Is
yeah,
because every other element, then all the pressure's taken off having to do things for the purpose of earning money.
yeah. And
But
it's got to be
and that,
done.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's the thing. Whenever I talk about big highfalutin ideas to change the world, within that still has to be baked in some way of paying the bills.
yeah. And then that's hard
And
to like reconcile, really.
yeah, well,
I
yeah.
yeah. Anyway, let me press. Let me do a thing. Yeah. So the sort of infinite wealth thing. I watched the Apple Design Awards this morning, which always makes me. It just gives me a little freaking moment of. I'll never be this good. I'm not good enough for this. But then they did I liked that they mentioned towards the end you've got to be ready to fail a lot before you get the thing that you find. I'm like, yeah, okay. They all failed a lot before getting to this thing. I'm failing. At least I've got the position to fail. The money gives you opportunities to, the lottery win gives you more chances to fail without actually going into horrible poverty and destitution. So even if you do a bad job of handling the lottery win, even if you kind of spent it all in nightclubs, at least you'd sort of learn that maybe that's not the thing to do.
Yeah. It's an experience that I'd gladly have the experience of winning the lottery just to see what I actually do. I wouldn't mind. If anyone fancies sending me, the equivalent of a lottery win of cash.
Yeah.
Let's see if I actually do more than just sit on a beach and doing nothing, drinking cocktails.
That 10 grand thing, that article, didn't you? This was. Well, I didn't actually get to the end of it though. What was the sort of crux of it?
The crux
used
of it was
to create a grant.
Yes, so she decided she won a $10,000 grant from TED. The rules were she wasn't allowed to reveal who she was or tell anyone. So she chose to create a $500 grants for local community initiatives.
Yeah.
And so which I think is a brilliant idea. So, she could have given it all to one thing. She could have done a variety of things. But one of the things she did say, she said, as soon as the money landed, she got an unexpectedly large tax bill and she wavered for a moment. But you can imagine that as well. It's like, oh, I've got all this money, but I want to do it right now. So there's a lovely article detailing all the projects she gave it to. And what was interesting about it was the fact that the number of people she had to explain that it wasn't some kind of a scam.
People are very distrustful of being given anything.
Given stuff, yeah.
You try and help people and they can't see why you're doing it. It's just, they just won't let you.
No.
It's really annoying.
It is. It's like, no, just have it. What? I told you this. I'm not going to repeat my stories, but yes, I thought it was really cool that she gave it away to small things like one of the I've just opened it. One of the examples is to help run a secret stag and hen party for James and Kirsty. So it was really little things, some of them, and then there was a project to buy sensory toys for small people with autism at a local primary school. All sorts of small things. $500 is not a huge amount of money, but if it's money that you haven't had to go and earn, and then you can do something nice with it, I think it's a lovely thing to do. But it did make me think, that would be a nice thing to do.
It would.
Just give out free money to
little mini
people.
grants, micro
Yeah,
grants to people. But then,
but
you could do that now. And I keep thinking, like, probably wouldn't be that hard to, like, I think, like, a cash prize is a thing that it's not that hard to do. But then you always want to get someone to sponsor it, don't you? If you're going to do it for
couldn't we
thing.
do that with our Patreon money? Because
Yeah,
we've
if
been
it
doing this
was
for free anyway for like last year.
with our Patreon.
Episodes 169. Well, I know we haven't got a lot yet, but if people knew what we were going to do with it, maybe we'd get more of it.
Maybe.
So we could do a grand podcast micro grants scheme funded by donations to our podcast. There you go.
All right, you're running that though. You're doing all the admin on that. Okay.
Okay, cool. Right, I'll hire someone.
You can hire someone to do that. Let's just like take a moment. I just need
Okay.
I just want to take a moment because I don't think I've put myself into the mindset yet. So I've had all that excitement. I know that I've won it, right? I won the lottery. It's £50 million.
Is it in your Monzo?
No, not yet.
Yeah,
But
not yet.
Monzo has like an 85 grand limit, so it wouldn't go in my Monzo. So, but I guess it's a check. So someone gives me this check. I guess I have to go and collect it from someone.
From the lottery people.
The lottery people. So that's literally in front of me. So I'm kind of going. This changes things. It's not quite yacht money, but it's certainly property anywhere I want money. Holidays, maybe, if Ivanka wasn't like denying me the moral ability to go on lots of holidays. Can't buy too many clothes either for the same reason. So I guess I'm just gonna so the first thing we do is we pay the tax, the windfall tax, which so I've got £25 million. Okay, that's still quite a lot of money. So that I'll put that in my special bank account. Well, the first thing I need is like this finance person, right? So I go and find a finance person who seems trustworthy, and they go, okay, we're going to put some in bonds, we can put some in a bank, some in. How fluid do you want to be? Okay, we'll start like looking into property. So do you need someone to do that? Sharon, can you like help? Let's find somewhere we want to live. Let's start that now because it could take a while. Right, in terms of my business, do I want to keep doing what I'm doing? I don't know. But let's save that for a bit. Let's like get comfortable. I think I'm going to spend a year mucking about, spending the money, getting my new studio together, maybe setting up this sort of like shared workspace membership place that I've always wanted to set up. That's what I'd do. I'd set up my it's got the studio, it's got like sort of the downstairs coffee shop performance space, and then like the hot desks in the middle, and then people can, but it's like sort of semi-private. It's not like anyone can come in, so you've got to have a membership of some sort. But you come in and we hang out and we have coffee and we have a live streaming stage down the bottom. So I get all that set up, but I haven't really done any of my projects for like a year and a half because there's so much admin with the properties and we do some trips as well. So you got to just have a break and clear your head, haven't you? Like not a cruise, but not a cruise. So it's 2 years later. I'm 2 years older. Like the squats are getting more difficult, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm suddenly really focused on my health. I'm like going, oh no, I get my teeth done, do all that. Like so, you got to look rich as well as being rich. Get some clothes, get some nice things. This is, I quite like this. It's quite good. And then my family, yourself. I've given my family. My sister's able to move. My brothers, they're sort of like I've given them I think I'll set up like a monthly, you get some money every month rather than here's a ton of money all at once. Because none of us are that great at money, frankly. And yeah, like sort of, it's going to be a lot of admin getting everything off the ground, but then is it going to start humming after a few weeks, after a couple of years? Hopefully. And then I'm just going to be like, hey, I've got my view over the city, I'm going to make some music, I've got all the nice gear, I've got some nice computers, I have all my meetings set up with all my people. On Monday morning it's like, okay, let's see how they've been getting on. Oh wow, look what you've made, look at that, that's amazing. Oh, that's rubbish. guys, this is not good enough, but this is amazing. But that is terrible. But that's great. And that's my job, like a couple of hours every day, maybe. I'm liking this. I want to win the lottery now, Ivanka.
Wow, that's very detailed. I did at the beginning of this thing. Would I do much more than have a year off to start with? I think the year off to start with would be a must. I have to say, whatever you do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just live in hotels for a bit, right? Like, just go and live in some different...
Well, you know that year we had on that motorcycle trip?
Yeah.
That was like, just no... You know, when your worries are, what am I going to eat today? And, you know, where it's just a much easier, it's a very low stress lifestyle.
Yeah.
Bumming about.
Seeing what you see, taking pictures.
See what you see, taking it in, sitting there for a day, waiting to see if an orca is going to swim past. No, not today. Best come back again tomorrow, eh? Just like
nothing happens. Yeah, it's no loss. It's just, the beautiful crystal water.
I've got more days tomorrow. Yeah. I think I could probably settle into it if I wasn't so. But yeah, I'm not gonna bring up my topic.
In summary,
I think we should leave this on a high.
Yeah, in summary, like, I was on the fence about winning the lottery at the start of this, but when I pictured the 50 million lottery win, kind of
you're up for it.
Can we do it? How do I make this happen? How do I get this lottery win? Right, now I've made myself the same as everyone else. This is a success. Hooray!
That was worth.
Alright, thanks for listening. If you like the podcast, you can go to grampodcast.com and make sure you're subscribed on your Apple Podcast app or whatever it is. If you're on Twitch watching us live, you can go to grampodcast.com. Maybe I should put a link in the chat. Hey, Shazroom says, ciao, grand hosts.
Ciao. Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bella. Where can people find you on the internet, Ivanka?
People can find me at Ivanka on Twitter.
At Ivanka. She's the one with the blue tick.
Not like that other Ivanka who also has a blue tick.
But she's not as good.
But he's a baddie.
If you like the podcast, we've got a Patreon which gives you, until the end of June, a free mug. If you support us on Patreon, we'll send it to you. There you get access to the full video episodes, and you get them early. You get access to our private Slack, and where you can spam us with oppressive links about race and all that kind of thing that we're too scared to talk about, and etc. Like, you just help us feel. It's just a vote for this podcast, really, to say.
Or it could be seed funding for our new micro grant system.
Ivanka, if she puts her money where her mouth is, then she's going to set up the micro funding system.
I am.
It's going to be based on the podcast.
It's going to be my new project.
So just got to talk about it and tell everyone, and then we'll do that.
Then I'll have to do it.
Because there's it's $60 or something sitting in our Patreon that we've never withdrawn. It's like
that's top secret.
I don't care. Like, we're not getting that much support, but imagine if we could.
Look, it's on a post-it now. Look, micro
grant system. She's done it, and it's with the podcast or some money. Yeah, maybe support us, and we'll support other people to do beautiful things based on the values of this podcast. That sounds good, doesn't it? Like, maybe that's.
I think so.
Screw it.
Maybe.
But if we do that, you're not having a mug.
Good point.
Anyway, all right. So, is there? I suppose that does make sense, doesn't it? Because it's like our values, what we think. If you like the podcast, then let us do something for other people based on the values that we hopefully prove week in and week out by banging on about them.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess that's it. I've got to get back to my Apple brainwashing propaganda deluge of how to use each new frame. It's so fantastic, this new 3 things you can do. We're going to talk about them for 25 minutes. It's really amazing. At least they're not all a mandatory hour worth of content for something that does not need to be an hour because of the remote thing. Okay, I'm going to play it out. So see you next week. Bye, 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 bye.